Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, which means that here on the Julia Kline show on Blab, we are talking about sales wounds. And for those of you who are not familiar with my work, sales wounds are those limiting beliefs that we all have about sales, money, and success that stop us from being able to do the things that we already know how to do and we know that we should be doing, and yet we don't. And just as a quick refresher, there are 6 primary sales wounds. Sales wound number 1 is the money wound. And the primary statement there is, I know that I need money and I want money, but frankly, I wish I didn't even have to deal with money. So that's wound number 1. Sales wound number 2 is the love and money wound. And that statement goes a little something like, money and love are interwoven in all of my relationships. So money isn't just money and love isn't just love. They're kind of all mushed in together. Sales wound number 3 is the selling wound. And the core statement of the selling wound is, salesmanship is a game of getting people to buy your stuff who don't really need it or want it. So it's all about tactics and persuasion, even manipulation, game playing, to try to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. I'm going to force them to do something. So hello, Mohammed. Happy to have you back here today. We're just reviewing the 6 sales wounds, and then we're going to jump in for some coaching. So sales wound number 4 is the anti-selling wound, which is the exact opposite of what we just said. It's for people who feel as if salesmanship is all about putting one over on somebody. They say, I am not going to do that. I do not want to be pushy, obnoxious, and rude, so I am just not going to sell at all. And they're, so that's that one. Sales wound number 5 is the prostitution wound. And this is the darkest of all. And sales wound number 5, the prostitution wound, says the primary statement is, I'm only doing this for the money. If I'm only selling my services, or I'm only doing what I do for my clients because I want the money. Or it's a belief that other people will think that that's what you're in it for. Other people will think that. And sales wound number 6 is the success wound. And the success wound is the broadest. It encompasses a bunch of things, but it basically says, I could be successful if only blank wasn't true. Thanks, Mohammed. I appreciate all the props. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying this stuff. Success wound, sales wound number 6, which is the success wound, can talk about visibility, like you're afraid to be visible. It can talk about blame or victimization. Other people are at fault for what you've got going on, so on and so forth. And hello for all the new people who are joining. I've just provided a quick recap of what the 6 sales wounds are, the 6 primary sales wounds. I'm realizing for future Blabcasts on Fridays, I should probably put them in the chat thread because then you can all read them at your leisure as you're listening to be going on here. But today, what we're going to be talking about is the 4 steps to overcoming those sales wounds. And the 4 main steps in summary, and it would be great if somebody who's here listening maybe wants to take quick notes and put them in the chat thread, because I can't type the notes while I'm talking. So if one of you wants to put these in the chat thread, that would be really super awesome. Thank you. So the 4 major steps to overcoming your sales wound are, number 1, to deepen your self-awareness. Number 2, and I'm going to name them all first, so especially so we can put them in the notes, and then I'll go back through and explain what these all mean. So step number 1 is to deepen your self-awareness. Step number 2 is to become irresistible. Step number 3 is to develop trust. And step number 4 is to increase your visibility. So let's go back through and talk about these in detail. And I do have some detailed notes here. This is new material for me, so I'm actually looking at my own notes. And so as we are are beginning to explore these 6 primary sales wounds and then the 4 steps to overcome them, what I first want to talk about just real briefly is why we would even want to bother with this, or how do you know that you are somebody who's suffering from sales wounds? So to start with, you are undoubtedly a person who craves authentic connection with your clients and customers. So if, for example, if I said to you, do you want to make a whole lot more sales next month? Or do you want to connect authentically with a whole lot more of the right people for you? You would say, I want to connect authentically with a whole lot more of the right people. It's not that you don't want the sales. Sure, we all want the sales. But what makes your heart happy is to think about connecting authentically. Another thing that is true about you is that your heart sings when you know that you have authentically and genuinely helped someone with whatever it is that is unique and valuable about you, your work, your magic, your special take. Even if, you're a mortgage broker, for example, which is, some people think of it being a commodity business, but you have a special take on it. The way that you provide somebody with a loan for their home is different than how other mortgage brokers do it. And when you've helped somebody and they've achieved the transformation, they've attained the goal that they really, really want, it just, oh God, you're filled with happiness, right? If that's you, then you're in the right place. And then a third thing that's true about you, if this whole sales wounds thing is appropriate for you, is that few things would make you happier than being surrounded by a tribe of people who adore you, who value you, and who are eager to receive your work. You just like, oh, my tribe, my people surrounding me, loving me, valuing me. That is what you want, right? And yes, Muhammad, as you're saying in the chat thread, you want to connect, you want to be authentic with your clients, exactly. And someone is saying that they love my book. I'm just checking real quick to see. I want to get your name, Georgia. Great, you love my book. That's awesome. Sleeves Free Selling. I appreciate that. So, and for those of you who are joining, Muhammad has been nice enough to be taking notes in the chat thread. So if you've missed a little bit of what we've already covered, go check out the chat thread to kind of catch up to speed. So we talked. I talked about what the 6 primary sales wounds are. I gave an overview of the 4 steps to overcome your wounds. I gave you a little bit of a hint here about who you are if this work is likely to be of value for you. And now let's talk about how to recognize that you are in fact suffering from sales wounds. And because when your sales wounds, if your sales wounds are large and in charge, you hide, you dim your light. You don't allow people to see you. You question yourself. Or in more practical terms, these are some of the very specific things that might be going on in your life if sales wounds are an issue for you. For example, you feel anxiety, sadness, loneliness, depression. So emotional clues that you've got sales wounds going on. You're lowering your prices. You're giving away a lot more of yourself and your services than maybe what people have paid for. You let people cancel on you without any penalty. You start thinking that nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Like, oh, nobody, what do I have to say? They don't want to hear me. So-and-so is so much better than I am. You procrastinate. You have that list of things that the email newsletter that's supposed to go out, the launch that you're supposed to have started, the phone calls you said you were going to make, and you haven't done those. Procrastination, especially around marketing tactics. That's a really good sign that you're suffering from sales wounds. You stop sending your newsletter. That's a very specific, practical one. You convince yourself that nothing you could do to grow your business is going to work anyway, so why even try? And you try, and finally, you're trying to get people to buy your stuff who you know are not your ideal client, or you know that there are other people that could serve them better than you can, but you try to sell them anyway. So Monica, in answer to your question, where did sales wounds come from? This is my work. This is my forthcoming book. It's called How to Heal Your Sales Wounds. My previous book was called The Entrepreneur's Guide to Sleaze-Free Selling. So everything I'm talking about here today is out of my little head and out of my little heart. So thank you. I'm really, really glad that you appreciate it. It makes, I am my own best, example of the kind of person this is good for, right? So it makes my heart sing to know that what I have to offer the world is actually what people want to hear and is valuable for people. So thank you very much for sharing with me that you like this. I really appreciate that. So those are some of the ways that you might be going through life or experiencing life if you are suffering from sales wounds, all those symptoms that I just listed. But when you heal your sales wounds, or at least when you address them, because I think that healing our sales wounds is a process we go through our entire lives. I don't know that we, it's life is a constant process of personal reinvention, right, and personal transformation. But when you are kind of on top of your sales wounds and you're getting the better of them rather than them getting the better of you, you are able to reveal yourself. You feel good about who you are and what you have to offer and your unique ability to help people in a way that absolutely no one else on earth can do. And because you feel good about that, you allow the world to see your unique amazingness. You shine in your own radiant light instead of hiding your light beneath a barrel or trying to dim your light. And you offer your gifts to people and they offer you money in exchange. In other words, put in harsher, more practical marketing terms, it's easy to make sales because you are fully in the knowledge of your value and it just makes all kinds of sense to you from a really authentic place that, of course, when you offer your gifts to people, it makes all kinds of sense that they should give you money in exchange. That just seems fair and right and authentic and aligned. And your heart and soul are just filled with joy at this entire process. Your business brings you joy. Your email newsletter brings you joy. Fulfilling and working with your clients brings you joy. And all of this just makes you just like, oh, yes, this is me. You feel like a flower out in the sun, right? This is me. This is who I'm meant to be. So the thing that we're supposed to be talking about today is how do you get from a place of woundedness where you're dimming your light and you're procrastinating and you're not sending out your newsletter and you're thinking that other people are better than you and nobody wants to hear what you have to say, into a place of, I recognize my light and I know the value that I offer and I freely exchange my gifts in exchange for money. How do you make that transition from woundedness to filled with joy? And it's the 4 steps that I outlined before that Muhammad put in the chat thread for us. And to review them very quickly, the first step is that you deepen your self-awareness. The second step is that you become irresistible. The third step is that you develop trust. And the fourth step is that you increase your visibility. Now, let's talk about those one at a time. And by all means, I intend to take questions. So feel free to type questions into the chat thread as we're going along here. If you feel like you just have to ask me about something that we're talking about, jump on. I've got the seat open. So feel free to jump in if you want me to specifically expand upon something that I've just covered, okay? So great, and thank you, Muhammad. You're typing into the chat thread all of the, not all, I think you got some of them anyways, the symptoms that you are suffering from sales wounds. So let's first of all talk about deepening your self-awareness. And this is about learning to appreciate and recognize your unique value so that you can get to that place of, this is me. And I have these unique gifts and this brilliance that I want to shine to the world. So there's a few specific ways that you can do that. So these are some very practical tactics. If you are feeling that you need to, that would be beneficial to you to really, I am valuable. What can I do? So here's some ideas for you. First of all, list your strengths and your accomplishments on a piece of paper. Just write them down. I graduated from college. A lot of people have never done that. I got an advanced degree. I moved out from home. I have been paying my own bills. I have written a book. I have worked with clients for 10 years. I've gotten these certifications. All of the things, all of the accomplishments, all of the things that you have done that not everybody has done. I brushed my teeth today. Probably not an accomplishment you want to list. Unless, of course, let me take that back for a moment. If you are really suffering from sales wounds and you are in the depths of darkness and despair and loneliness and depression, if that's the place that you're in, well then getting up and brushing your teeth today actually might be an accomplishment for you today. So with that caveat, And Monica, gratitude. I love the reminder of gratitude, definitely. And I think what you're meaning is to express gratitude as an avenue to deepening your self-awareness, I think. If that's not what you meant, let me add on that another way, besides listing your accomplishments and your strengths, to also express gratitude for the things who you are. I am so grateful that I have a good speaking voice. I am so grateful that I have a tall and commanding presence. I am so grateful that I have developed the ability to go within to receive answers. I am so grateful that I have learned to open my heart so that I can be more available to the people that I share this planet with. Those are some statements for myself of gratitude. That's a great way to develop your own self-awareness. I'm so grateful that I have been inspired with this body of work called Heal Your Sales Wounds. I am so grateful that I have the ability to really listen to clients and hear even what they didn't say and respond to what's coming from their heart, even if they weren't able to express it. Right? These are statements of gratitude that lead me to a deeper appreciation, of myself and a deeper self-awareness. Because that's step one in going from woundedness to being joy-filled. Step number two is to become irresistible. And by the way, the step number one of deepening your self-awareness, all four of these steps, I have a kind of an emotional, spiritual, metaphysical underpinning. And then they have a way of translating into the practical, the marketing. So deepening your self-awareness, coming to appreciate yourself and who you are, and knowing your specific unique gifts. Well, then when it comes time to do your marketing, that translates into stuff like features and benefits, right? Describing the transformation that you will be able to offer to clients. Where am I here? Yes. Oh, and also another tactic for deepening your self-awareness, which also translates into your marketing, is to write down the compliments that you've received, or in marketing lingo, to gather testimonials. And so hearing what other people have to say about you and how other people appreciate you in the form of testimonials is a wonderful way of deepening your own self-awareness and then communicating that unique value to prospective clients and customers. So moving on to step two, becoming irresistible. In this step, this is where you get customers and clients to crave what it is that you offer. And so on the internal level of this step, the first thing you want to do is become crystal clear of the transformation that you offer to clients. So as I've just shared the transformation that I offer, right? You're going to go from a place of woundedness. And what that looks like is procrastinating. You might feel depressed. You might be hiding your light under a barrel. You might be undercharging for your services, giving your services away, letting clients cancel on you. These are all symptoms of being wounded. And if that's where you are, I'm going to bring you to a place where you're filled with joy and where you know your own value and you appreciate what you have to offer to your clients in your own unique way. And you will be able to charge full price for your services, and it will be easy to make sales. So that's the transformation that I offer to people. So this is step one of becoming irresistible, when you are crystal clear on the transformation that you offer clients. And by the way, it's not how you do it. I did not describe in that transformation from woundedness to joy. I didn't talk to you about the 5-step action plan that I'm going to have you fill out, or the weekly coaching calls that we're going to do, or the journaling exercises. I didn't tell you any of that stuff. That's the how we do it. And frankly, you could care less. What you care about is the transformation. I'm stuck. I'm not making sales. I'm not feeling good about my business, and I want to feel great about my business. I want to be making sales easily and effortlessly. It's a transformation. You need to do the same thing in your business. That's step two is becoming irresistible. And the way to become irresistible is to be crystal clear on the transformation that you offer, because that's what people want. They want the transformation. They want to change in a way that only you can support them in that change. And then as we transition, so that's the inner work around step 2. Thank you for the props, Monica. Glad you're enjoying this. Then as we transition from the inner work into the outer work, which is the visibility or the marketing, the way how that looks is you spotlight that transformation in all your outbound messaging or all your marketing. So here I am on a blab. This is outbound marketing, outbound messaging, and I'm talking about the transformation that I offer. When I post on Twitter, I focus on the transformation that I offer. When I write emails to my list, when I write articles in my blog posts, I'm focusing on that transformation. That's the core thing that I help people with, is going from a place of woundedness to a place of joy, to a place of being hidden and not shining their light, to a place of, I feel great about who I am and what I offer, and it's easy for me to sell it. And so that transformation is what is focused on and repeated in all of my marketing. You need to do the same thing. Once you've identified, you've become crystal clear on the transformation that you offer, then you need to spotlight that transformation over and over and over and over again in your outbound messaging. That is your message, that core transformation that you offer. And here's another suggestion for you in becoming irresistible, because of course, knowing that transformation and talking about it all the time isn't enough to turn. It might be enough to make people interested, but now we want to turn people into saying yes to the products that you offer. And thank you, Jay. I appreciate the props very much. That's great. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. And so we get into tactics of salesmanship, right? So you're crystal clear on your transformation. You've been spotlighting your outbound messaging. So now people have come to you and said, ooh, that could be interesting. I maybe want to buy something from you. Well, what you need to do then is maintain the mantra. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Meaning, when somebody comes to you, you have identified. Hi, Steve. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us. Please check in the chat thread for a summary of what we've already been talking about, because today is kind of an instructional lesson around sales wounds. And Muhammad has been taking great notes in the chat thread, so you can get up to speed here and what we're talking about. We're currently talking about step 2, becoming irresistible, how to get your clients craving what it is that you offer. And so we're talking about, you got to get crystal clear on your transformation and then spotlight that transformation in all your outbound messaging. And so people then come to you and say, ooh, I want that transformation. So many people will make the mistake of saying, great, let me sell it to you. Here's how much it costs and here's the No. You can't just jump into that. You need to ask a lot more questions. And by the way, some of you were on Blab with me yesterday when I was talking to Chris Brogan about this. And we talked specifically about this, about how important this is to ask so many more questions than you might think is necessary when you're first starting out with this. And so that's why your mantra needs to be, tell me more about that. Because they've come to you because you've promised a transformation. They're stuck in a place they don't want to be. And you've told them that you can help them get from there to where they want to be. And they want that. Your mantra when you're engaging with them needs to be, tell me more about that. Tell me more about where you're stuck, how you're stuck. Why do you think you're stuck? What else have you tried to get you out of your stuck? All of these are important questions. Tell me more about that. And then you're interested in the transformation that I offer. Tell me more about that. What is it about my approach that appeals to you? Tell me more about that. In what ways does this sound different than anything you've ever tried before? Tell me more about that. That's your mantra. And that helps you to accomplish this step number 2 that we're talking about, becoming irresistible. Because we all know this, right? We all know our Dale Carnegie, that people are most interested in themselves. They should treat everybody like they've got a sign on their forehead saying, I'm important, or make me feel important. When you ask people to talk about themselves, that's what makes you irresistible to them. You become a good listener. You become interested in their favorite topic themselves. You become irresistible. You become irresistible. And then a final thing in becoming irresistible, and this goes back to your outbound marketing, is continually be relentless in brevity and clarity. Brevity and clarity. When you are giving your message in tweets, in emails, in broadcasts like this, where you are communicating the transformation that you offer to people, brevity and clarity. Don't go on and on and on for 10 minutes about what it is that you do. Nobody wants to hear that. Brevity and clarity. And this gets into some copywriting, right? So that we're talking a lot about the inner stuff, because it's the inner stuff that's really blocking you. But when it comes right down to it, you also need the tactics. And so copywriting is an incredible tactic in the becoming irresistible step. And so it's being able to efficiently communicate that transformation that you offer to people, and to communicate it with brevity and with clarity. Okay. So we've covered step number 1 and step number 2. I'm sorry, Ben, I don't want to see your dance moves. Thank you for wanting to play. But today we're talking about sales wounds. We're not doing a dance party today. Thanks anyways. Step number 3 in this process is to deepen trust. Ben, why don't you hang out for a minute and get caught up with where we're at, Ben? And then after a few minutes of sort of getting on pace with everything, then I can we can talk about stuff, okay? Is that all right with you? So step number 3 is to deepen trust. And for those of you who are new to the conversation, we're talking about the 4 steps to overcome your sales wounds, to get you from a place of woundedness into a place of being filled with joy, from a place of being hidden and dimming your light to a place of, I feel good about offering my products and services. So step number 3 in this process is to deepen trust. And when I say that, so many people who are suffering from sales wounds feel scared. They are, they don't want to, they're scared to talk about themselves. They're scared the clients will say no. Well, guess what? Your clients are scared too. They don't want to part with their money. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to, they've got this problem. They're stuck over here. You're not the first person that they've ever tried to get to help them. And it hasn't worked because they're still stuck. So they don't want to make that same mistake again. They don't want to feel foolish again. They don't want to disappoint themselves again. They don't want to, remind themselves that this problem is never going to get fixed. So they're scared too, because to take action, to give you money, to ask you to help them, puts them in a state of hopefulness and like, oh, maybe it'll change this time. And they're afraid. They need you to help them feel confident and safe and secure. That's what they need from you. And that's the step 3 of deepening trust. They need to feel that they can trust you. And fundamentally, closing the sale is nothing more than this. Because by the time 85% of the sale is identifying and attracting people who have the problem that you can solve and who are ready and willing to fix it for themselves. That's 85% is just like getting clear within yourself. This is what I do. And then being visible, opening yourself so that the people who can be fixed by you can see you, can find you, can be attracted to you. Because once you're there, they've got a problem, you can fix it. That's 85% of the sale. The last 15%, closing the sale, is about trust. Can they trust you? Can you make them feel safe and secure in taking this step with you? And I'm going to take a moment. I see some people are commenting in the chat thread. So let me just take a look and see. The transformation is part of good storytelling. So there's a parallel with sales. Absolutely. Talking transformation, salesmanship is storytelling to a large degree. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And Mohammed, dig into your client's current challenge and restate their challenges to confirm that, yes, that's an excellent strategy in that that's part of step 2, becoming irresistible, asking questions. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. And along with what you're saying, Mohammed, a great strategy is to repeat back to them. So what I hear you saying is, that shows that you're listening. That's great. And you're saying your clients need to feel secure, that you are genuinely there to help them to overcome their challenge. Yes, 100%. That's for sure. They need to know that you are on their team, that your goal and your objective is the same as theirs, right? And here's a couple of specific tactical strategies for doing that. Number 1, provide good boundaries. What I mean by that is, just like a parent whose job is to provide boundaries for a child and say, I'm the adult. You can bounce around all you want inside this little box, but you're not going outside these four walls because I am the adult and I'm going to hold you safe and sound. And you're not going to get outside of these walls. And thank you, Brenda. I'm glad that you're enjoying this. Thank you for the props. I appreciate that. So providing good boundaries with your clients too, the exact same thing, make them feel safe. And what does that look like? It looks like having a clear cancellation policy, setting clear payment terms, being explicit about what you expect from the client, as well as what they can expect from you. And a lot of people, especially people who are suffering from sales wounds, and especially sales wound number 4, are unwilling to set boundaries, and are unwilling to say, hey, you know what? This is a two-way street here. This is a win-win. You have responsibilities as much as I do. You, the client, need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to show up on your phone calls. You need to do your weekly assignments. You need to submit to me the data that I need in order to produce the results for you that you asked me for, et cetera, right? So setting good boundaries is a great way to communicate that trust. And a lot of that boundary setting you can do in the sales process when you're getting them to the finish line of saying, yes, here's my money. But certainly a lot of this is applicable to recurring sales, or when you've sold a client on a small job and now you want to do a much bigger contract with them. Well, a big part of that is these boundaries in that first little segment, right? So they know they can trust you, that you're solid. You're professional, you're solid, you're trustworthy. A second way of helping the client to feel safe and secure with you so that they'll part with their money, this part of this deepening trust, which is step number 3, is to display profound authenticity. And what I mean by that is people appreciate honesty. So, for example, if you are getting ready to sell them something, say so. Like if you're going through a list and you're calling people, and your real goal is that you've got some new product, or you're trying to make a sale, say so. It's so inauthentic and so trite and so sales pitch gobbledygook when you call up and say, hi, I'm just calling to check in on you. No, you're not. I mean, you might have some level of interest on a human level in what's going on in their lives. You might genuinely feel that to a certain extent, but that's not why you're calling them. They're not your Aunt Martha. You're not calling to check in. You're calling to see if there's anything going on in their lives that they need help with that you can offer a solution to. That's why you're calling. Say that. Be authentic. Radical honesty. And then another thing, and these first things I've been talking about, the boundaries and the radical honesty, those are a little bit more the inner game of providing safety and confidence and security so that your clients will deepen their trust in you. But now let's take it over onto the more marketing side, the copywriting side, the offer making side. And a great way to help deepen a client's trust in you is to offer a guarantee. That's what it's there for. I was talking a minute before about how your client has had this problem for a while. They have been struggling with this. You are not their first rodeo, and they've bought things before that didn't work. They've bought things before that maybe people flat out lied to them. They've bought things before that they were not able to use, and they don't want to make that mistake again. So they want to know that at a bare minimum, sure, they might not be doing what they need to do, but they at least need to be sure that you're going to do what you've said you're going to do. That's what all the guarantee is. It's just, hey, this is exactly what I'm promising you. If you feel that I didn't give you anything that's on this list, ask for your money back and you've got it. No problem. And thank you so much for the props, Jay. I love that you're loving this stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Brenda. And no, that wasn't Brenda. That was Monica, who was just giving me props too. Thank you very much. It makes me feel good that you're enjoying this. It lets me know that I'm on track, that you're wanting to hear all this stuff. So hi, George. Hi, Matt. Thank you for joining us. We're in the middle of a conversation here. Please check the chat thread if you're new to kind of get up to speed. A few of our audience members have been taking good notes on what we've been talking about up until this point, so you can kind of get up to speed. And right now we're talking about the 4-step process to overcome your sales wounds and go from a place of woundedness to joy. And hi, Cherie or Sherry. Thank you for joining us. Please check the chat thread to get up to speed on what we've covered so far. And then in a few minutes, I'll be asking people to come on and Sherry. Okay, great. Thank you. So what we're talking about, step number 3, deepening trust. And what this means is, how do you get your clients and customers to feel confident and trusting and safe to give you their money? And we've talked about some inner game stuff. One of the marketing strategies, one of the outer game things is offer a guarantee. And then the other outer game strategy is to utilize testimonials, right? Social proof is the term that we marketers use to describe that human instinct to follow the herd. Thank you, Sherry. I'm glad you're enjoying this. So if everyone else says that XYZ is good, well, then it must be. And we do this all the time, right? I know that if I'm going out for dinner, I take a look on Yelp and I read the reviews, you know? If I'm going to see a movie, I look at the reviews. If I'm going to buy a pair of boots on Zappos, I look at the reviews. I want to know what other people have thought about whatever the product is I'm getting ready to buy. The exact same thing is true in your business. And so if people are considering hiring you as a coach or as a consultant, they want to know what kind of experience people have had who've hired you in the past. That's what a testimonial is. And so by offering those testimonials, sometimes people are afraid to use testimonials because they feel like they're bragging. You're not bragging. Think of it. Reset your mindset so that you understand that a testimonial is a way to serve your customers and clients, to increase their own feeling of safety and security. You're basically holding their hand through the scary process of hiring you. And thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying this. And hello, Michelle. Glad to have you with us. Please check the chat thread to see what we've been talking about up until now. There's detailed notes that a couple of audience members have been taken. Hello, Yasmin. Pleasure to have you. Check the chat thread to get up to speed on where we're at. We're just entering into a discussion of step 4 in the 4-step process of going from woundedness to joy-filled in your sales process. And step 4 is to increase your visibility. In other words, the increasing your visibility means allowing people to see you. What we talked about at the very beginning is that the goal is to just be filled with confidence and certainty that you are valuable and that you have a unique brilliance and work and light to offer to the world. And because you know that about yourself, you are radiantly willing to allow people to see you. And so that the right members of your tribe, your perfect audience, can be attracted to you. And they can see you and they can see, oh yeah, she solves the problem that I have. That's what we're talking about with visibility. So step 4 is to increase your visibility. And this step 4 brings us back full circle to the beginning, because the first step was to deepen your self-awareness, and that means, to give yourself that feeling of, I'm good at this. I have gifts to offer. And so in increasing your visibility, it's a 2-part thing. And the first part is the inner game, which circles us back to the very beginning. And that is your own fears and your blockages that create the urge to hide. So whatever that internal stuff is, that shame or feeling like a fraud or being afraid that people don't want to hear what you have to say, or whatever the internal issues are, and there's a lot of them. That's the first part, is that inner game, that emotional pressure to stay hidden and not let people see you. The second part is the outer game, and that is the practical tools that you can use to get more of the right people seeing you. And what this looks like is social media, your email campaigns, paid advertising of all kinds. So these are all the practical tools that are available to us to get that outer game of visibility going on high gear. And knowing how to do that properly and most effectively is a big part of becoming visible to the right people. And again, that also circles back to the beginning, where you're developing your self-awareness. So to share with you, for me, I know that I'm fundamentally at core, I'm a sales coach. And there's about 3 million of me out there, right? There's all kinds of people out there who you can learn from about how to sell better. But the strategies and the tools and the tactics that I offer to help you get better with this require a certain kind of person. My strategies won't appeal to lots of people. So part of how I become more visible and attract the right people to me is by linking back to that self-awareness of who I am and what I offer. And that gets us back to the beginning of this blab, where I said that if you're somebody who's going to appreciate this next 45 minutes that I'm going to be talking here, then you are somebody who craves authentic connection with your customers. You are somebody who is deeply introspective. You are somebody who considers themselves to be a coach, or at least you have a coaching mindset. Even if you're a financial planner or an attorney, you consider that your role as a problem solver for your customers is really important. You have a box of Kleenex, figuratively or literally, at your desk because you know that sometimes your clients are going to be emotional. That is who you are if my work is going to appeal to you. And so do you see how that's where my self-awareness, which was step one, deepen your self-awareness, comes around full circle to step four, your visibility, how you go out into the world attracting people. Because, and this, now we're going to get a little bit ninja here. So like when I'm posting on Twitter, when I'm posting on Instagram, when I'm posting on Facebook, when I'm posting on YouTube, I'm using hashtags that are related to that stuff that I just said. Intuition, introspection, deepening understanding, coaching mindset. All of these are phrases that appeal to all those of you who are listening, because a lot of you have been on here for quite some time. And so I'm describing you. And those kinds of phrases that I just used attract you and resonate with you and make you go, oh, that sounds great. There's one or two people who bopped into this phone conversation, this blab, and they've listened for a minute or two and they've checked out. Now, maybe it has nothing to do with what I'm saying. Maybe they've got their own stuff going on, but it's entirely possible that they've checked in to hear a conversation about salesmanship, and like what the stuff that I'm saying doesn't make sense, doesn't appeal, doesn't resonate, isn't in alignment with them. Great, no problem. I am grateful that I have the ability to share who I am in a way that it attracts the right people. And you need to do the same thing in your business. You need to deepen your self-awareness so that you can be visible in a way that attracts the right people. Because if you know who you are and you're attracting the right people, now all of a sudden sales becomes easy. It's the only thing you got to do to get from, wow, this sounds great, into, sure, here's my money, is step number 3, deepen trust. Get them to feel that they are safe and secure with you, that you really can help them. Is this making sense? I would love to open everything up for questions, or there's been a little bit of posts going on in the chat thread, but many of you have now been listening for a solid half hour, for 40 minutes to what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for all the props. You guys are great. I take it that you're loving this. I would love to have one or more of you open up, come onto the video and chat with me live and talk a little bit about this stuff. I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about doing that, to put on some lipstick or whatever to get video ready. But as we're doing that, I want to mention, and Monica, I'll let you come on here. That'd be great. I want to mention that I do have an online coaching group that you can join that allows you to go deeper with me in this work. And my group is called Revealing You. And it's all about this work, and it's a deepening process of this work. I do a couple of calls a month, a couple of group calls. We have a private Facebook group. I do an intensive lesson every month around a specific tactic, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat thread over there if you want to come and check out that online program. It's $147 a month, but between now and the end of October, which is my official launch date, I'm actually offering to people for $97 a month, which I think is a screaming deal for all that you get. So please consider joining me in that online program. Like I said, I'll put the link in the chat thread. But now we have Monica on the video with us. Hello, Monica.
Hello, hello.
Oh, you know what, Monica? I can't hear you.
Oh, wait.
Got no volume. Still no volume. I see you got a headset in, so I don't know why we're having a volume problem.
I don't know.
But you know what? Hold on.
I suppose I should make the startup noise.
The problem was mine. I had my own speaker off. Monica, are you there now? Yes. Oh yeah, it was my fault. I've got a speaker plugged into my computer. My speaker was turned off. There you go.
It's okay.
So hello. I've never met you before. So tell me about you and tell everybody about you and what you're up to and what you think about all this stuff.
There's a lot of echo. You hear the echo?
I don't hear the echo. Does anybody else hear the echo?
You hear the echo?
You do hear the is it me echoing or is it Monica echoing?
I am echoing. Now it's better.
So Monica, maybe try turning down your volume. That sometimes helps the echo.
Which volume? I mean, I have headphones. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it
still echoing? No, it's fine now.
You don't hear it?
Yeah, okay, it's fine now. It's fine.
Okay. Gotta love technology.
So first of all, I have to tell you something. I just found out about you a few days ago.
How did you hear about me?
I didn't hear about you. I came on a blab.
Oh.
That's now my new guilty pleasure.
Did you come on one of my blabs or a blab that I was a guest on?
No, I came to one of your blabs. But the thing is that your times were very non-compatible time zone-wise. And it's now for me 1:45, okay? So, yeah. So you should feel incredibly flattered that I'm here now and that I came to talk to you. You should be over the moon, believe me.
I do. I am. Where are you from?
I'm from Tel Aviv.
Oh, Bliana.
And
my almost husband, who is now happily married to someone else, lives there in Tel Aviv.
I see. Okay. Well,
I've got a lot of Israeli in me.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that another time.
We can.
I'm originally from Greece, by the way, but and I also lived in New York. It's like,
I love New York.
Yeah. Wow. Who doesn't? Anyway, and thank you, Jonathan. Anyway, and last time I was really listening to you, and actually you were with Christina Morassi and Donna, I don't remember her last name.
Donna Cravata. Yeah, that was a wonderful conversation.
And it was also totally up my alley because that's also what I do. I do what I call self-magic. And
what is self-magic?
Well, it's actually, I call myself now visual voice strategist. I'm an artist, a designer, like my education, my background. And now I'm working with women on visibility. First of all, I have now what I call a self-magic play shop where I teach them how to take their own self-portraits. Cool. So, and that's like the process to see also yourself and to understand your strength and to feel, better about all the things that you say. And I'm also I'm going to start doing this very soon into your story, but also in a visual way. I'm not a word person.
Very cool.
So I'm here now because I really wanted to. I was really, I don't know, I felt very attracted to you. Hope it's okay. Hope I can say something like that.
Wonderful. Yes, I love that.
Take it the right way, okay?
Of course.
And also I find the things that you say now very, very interesting and also very aligned also with the things that I'm doing, and I'm teaching. Actually, I just scheduled a blab about visibility for healers,
Oh, nice.
Who are people that are not, the whole thing is about being secluded and boundaries and all that stuff to be able to give, So, I'm trying to think if I have something to ask you. It's really late, so I'm not 100% focused. Understand that? Yeah, that's not my usual energy. I did put a lipstick for you, although otherwise I wouldn't. Also, the light here is a little, my kids are sleeping. I don't want to wake. Oh, that's better.
Sure. No, you don't want to do that.
I look less ghosty now. I don't know. Should I ask a question? I have many sales wounds or wounds, how you call them. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I have. For a long time, I didn't even have a buy now button in my website.
Okay.
I think that's a sign for a sales wound. A big one.
Yes, definitely. As Christina said on the conversation we had earlier in the week, that on her first flyer, she didn't put a photograph of herself. And clear sign of a visibility wound for sure.
Yeah, but imagine a buy now.
Yes, no buy now. I get it.
No buy now. It's not. It's worse.
Not letting anybody buy anything. Right?
It's worse. You don't even allow the opportunity to happen.
Yes.
So anyway, so I don't know. I'm just not focused enough. I don't want to
Well, why don't you tell me before we bring the next guest on?
Okay.
Tell me in a sentence or two what it was that kind of attracted you. What made you stay up until midnight to listen again? What sounds different?
Okay. I love. Okay. I love your energy.
Thank you.
Also, it's gonna sound horrible, but you remind me of myself a little bit when I'm awake.
Not horrible? No, actually, not at all. That actually is really that's perfect, because all of us who are intuitive and sensitive and high vibrational, what we are doing in the world is we ourselves have gone through a profound transformation, and what we are now doing is we are turning around and we are helping the people who are coming behind us who are just like us. So I think it's absolutely perfect that you said that you recognize.
No, I feel, I don't feel that often. And actually, I think this is one of the good things about Blab. There was this other lady, I don't know. Anyway, she said that it makes the know, like, and trust factor immediately. Like, because you hear someone, and I think much more than Periscope, because you see, how you react. Like, I remember there was this guy, you were all talking about women and visibility, and there was this guy from, I don't know, Pakistan. He came in and he didn't talk, and he showed him, it was like a little weird. Right. And you handle it, very nice. You ask him, how can I help you? Have any questions? And then you let him go with grace. You didn't bitch about him. You were very understanding, it was clear. It was clear. It was not, fitting. It was clear, but you took it like you were open, and I like that. I like your humor. I like your warmth. Also, like you share some things about yourself. You're not trying to sound You said, my visibility, sometimes I don't want to send my newsletter, and I don't, you're not putting a facade, like you're very authentic to my taste.
Yes.
And I appreciate your sense of humor, and also I like how you conduct this. Like, and I see you. Like, I saw a little thing that you've become better. Yeah, take it, a little bird, and please type in. Because I can't type in and talk. Why should I've seen some people do it. They look weird, and I cannot do it either. So I don't know how they do it. You're like very clear. What you can do, what you cannot do. Help me out here.
Well, thank you. That's wonderful feedback, and I really am honored that you stayed up until midnight to catch the Blab again. And I would love to see you back again on a future Blab. And
I hope so.
Please, I'm join me in other ways as well. So
okay. And did you put your thingy?
Yes, I posted.
Okay, look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah, the group mastermind that I'm doing, and the price on the page right now, it says $147 a month. But the truth is that from now until the end of the month, when I do my official launch, it's actually $97 a month. So.
Okay, I'll have to see. I'm now looking for things. So interesting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right. Well, it was nice to talk to you, Monica.
Absolutely, to you too.
All
okay.
Right. Bye. All right, and we are bringing Jay on next.
Greetings.
Hello, Jay. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Tired, but well.
Yes, and you have a lovely accent as well. Are you in a part of the world that's not the United States?
I definitely am, yes. I'm in the UK, London.
Oh, London.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love Blab. Look at this.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Jay from London. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for putting this Blab on. I've never been on any one of your Blabs. And I think for me, the attraction was your title. And I didn't really see this. It was the title, and I remember just going past it because I'm bored at home, and I don't want to do any work. I'm not focused enough to do any work. It's a Friday evening, and I thought to myself, I need to just go and listen to some intellectual Blab type thing. And then I saw your Blab, and when I saw it, it really just I just thought, maybe this is actually for me. And then listening to what you were sharing. I think a lot of the things that you've shared has has resonated with me a lot. And I thought I was over a situation, but actually having you share your tips and your experience, I actually feel that there's been an incident that stopped me from progressing, which has almost got me stuck, sort of thing. So,
comfortable to share anything about that?
Yeah. No, totally.
Tell us about it in a minute.
Sorry.
Briefly, if you can.
Yeah, of course. So, in a nutshell, I had a client. It was all going very well. Then all of a sudden, say maybe a month into our relationship, she sent me an email that basically said that, she wasn't happy working with me and she hadn't seen any results from her time with me. And I then took the next step as to call her first rather than respond in an email to try and see, just to try and find out what was going on with her. Because in my humble opinion, I didn't see what I was actually doing, what I had actually done wrong. And I'm happy to be corrected, but if you don't give me the opportunity to rectify something, then I don't know what it is I'm trying to rectify.
Right.
So I attempted maybe about 3 or 4 times to contact her by phone. And then her emails started to get really nasty with me. And then, so I just sent, I sent her one flat email, which I had other people look at, because what I didn't want to do was send something in anger, which I would then have to regret later on. So I had other people look at it, and look at it from a non-judgmental aspect and tell me what I needed to rectify. And I sent that. And we haven't spoken since. This was about 18 months ago. But I feel that since that time, I know that there's a part of me that's just withdrawn.
Yeah.
Literally, I've just gone into some kind of cocoon. And it's disturbed me because I'm not that person.
Yeah. Well, what it seems to be, and I'm highly intuitive as well. So part of what's coming through, which is kind of, an intuitive hit that I'm getting, is that there was a profound past life connection with this person. You've got a strong soul contract. And so her purpose in your life is to cause you to look at something. And up until this point, you've either been unwilling to look at it or you have not been in a space that was optimal for you to look at it. And so this, and I feel like it was for your protection, that perhaps you were beginning to go in a direction that was not in your best interests. And her feedback to you sort of put the brakes on, and it's giving you an opportunity to recalibrate. Does that make any kind of sense?
It's interesting. I'm not going to say it all makes all sense because I wasn't expecting this. To be honest, I think it does make sense because but it doesn't. It makes sense as to, in hindsight, it makes sense. But going through the process, it didn't make sense and it left me quite confused. And since then, I stopped literally doing what I was doing, which was a bit of a shame because I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I'm now starting to do it again. But I've had the opportunity to grow, to shape a few more things within like my skill set as well as my resilience, and and just present it to other people. And I'm working with other people now, and I have been doing so for the last year, which is brilliant. So it shows that my skills are good, sort of thing. But I think what you said does make sense actually.
Yeah. And I think it would be beneficial for you to go through some of those exercises that I presented. I don't know if you were on for the whole time, but
I think the majority of it, yeah, with all the 4 points that you made and the different subs that go underneath those headings.
Yeah, and I think that, in your case, to help you to deepen your self-awareness and to deepen your appreciation and to remind yourself of your brilliance. It might be a valuable thing for you to do some journaling for yourself. What are my strengths? And go back and look for the other people who have said lots of good things about you, to sort of weigh out, and overshadow this one, negative experience.
And you're totally right. It's one negative experience that's just put this huge, massive, dark cloud over my work and what I'm doing. And the things that I know that I know what my purpose is, and I'm living in that purpose, so I'm not struggling with that. But I feel that I'm battling with walking in my purpose based on what this other person has said and how she felt. So it's almost like sometimes I wake up, even now talking about it, I just want to just shake myself, shake it off me, shake that doom and gloom off me, sort of thing.
Yeah. And you can't take responsibility for how other people feel. But often I had an experience myself 8 months ago, maybe, where somebody, a client, hired me. We only did a single coaching session, which I normally don't do because I know that the kind of thing that happened can happen. And in short, I overcoached her. In other words, I gave her a vision of herself that was more than she could step into in the moment. And since we didn't have a coaching container for me to help her through it, she ended up processing it through in her mind in such a way that it became my fault. And she blamed me. And she came up with, well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do this, and you did, all of which I actually had done. And it caused me like 2 or 3 weeks of like, a lot of what you're talking about. But I looked for the gift in it. And one of the things that I said for myself, which might be helpful for you, is I said to myself, okay, if I was to take it at face value that this client of mine is 100% right about what she had said about me, how can that be true? How can I find evidence that she is right? That the criticisms that she has of me, or the comments, the feedback that she had for me, is justified. That it's something for me to take in. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, actually, that
can be hard to take, because when you're in conflict with somebody, you're saying you're wrong and I'm right, and here I'm going to prove to you all the ways that you're wrong and you're nuts and you did this wrong and you did that wrong and you. And it's like, well, that's never the case. It's never the case that the other person is 100% wrong.
Yeah, totally.
So if you can, to search out the ways in which you had some role in creating. Oh
yeah, I've done that, definitely. And I believe that, based on the points which you raise, I know that one of the things which a mistake which I made is I didn't create clear enough boundaries.
Yeah.
I didn't create clear enough. That was one of the things. And those boundaries even included, because based on the work that we're doing, included maybe a schedule.
Yes.
And the appropriateness of when we would communicate and how often and when we would communicate. So those things weren't clear enough. In my mind, it was absolutely fine, but clearly it wasn't there, because if it was there, one of her issues was that she just didn't know what was going on.
Yes.
But we spoke all the time. So therefore, it made me realize that she was clearly someone that needed to have something clear of what needs to be done, when, where, what time, to be that explicit. And it's not necessarily something which I had to do, but maybe something which I should have initiated that she do and keep in her diary and all the rest of it. So I've really learned from that in that aspect. So yeah, definitely.
Really good. Really good. Yeah. Well, Jay, it's a pleasure having you. I'm going to go ahead and ask Cherie to join us. But
thank you very much.
Thank you. London. Hope to see you again.
Definitely. Thank you. Bye.
We're going to bring Cherie on now. And
everybody wants me to be a Cherie. I'm
sorry, you're Sherry.
I know. Well, you're not the only one, so don't feel bad. But in answer to Jay, and in line with some of the things that you're doing, that inner game is what stops us so often. And a lot of times we don't realize it. So that's part of the reason why I've hung with you. I haven't been here for the whole time. But the thing that I would also say to Jay is to analyze before you internalize. Okay? Analyze before you internalize, because people are going to say a lot of things based on their perception. Not necessarily that they're wrong, but how they have processed the information. So you want to take a moment and step back and analyze like she's done now, it seems, before you decide to internalize. And I say that especially for women, because the first thing that women jump to is, I did something wrong.
Right.
When you may not have done something, like you indicated, she may have given this woman more than she was able to handle at that particular time. It may have been what she needed, but for a lot of people, once I get a realization about something, now I've got to either do something or realize that I'm stuck where I am. You know, so it's easier for me to reject something. So that's why I say, analyze before you internalize, you know.
Yep. Excellent.
Okay. All right.
So have you, and you said you've stuck with us for a while this afternoon. Was there anything in particular that I shared that was different for you, that that made you kind of think about something in a new way, or any questions you want to ask me about it?
I wouldn't say different, but it was good to hear it. Okay. Just in terms of going back to, I really started giving you props on social proof, because I think we, mean people, humans forget. Humans are pack animals. Humans are pack animals. I'll give you a quick story. I at one point lived in Australia, and every 6 months, in order to renew your visa, you have to leave the country. And I'm coming through customs, and there's one long line, and then there's a lady standing behind, another agent standing behind another desk, and there's nobody there. So I went up to her and I said, "Are you open?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm open. I don't know why all those other people are over there." You know, so everybody saw one person in this other line, even though there were 2 deals open. You know, so everybody went where everybody else did. Okay. So don't be afraid to post testimonials, because we as humans look for that. And the other thing is, now, well, let me just say, don't be afraid to talk about your accomplishments. Now, you know, there's a way to do it, but don't be afraid to talk about your accomplishments, just on the basis of it probably took you long and hard to do that. You know, so if you stand back and say, well, you know, people may think I'm boasting and this, that, and the other, nobody's ever going to know that you know about this or that you've done that. So those 2 things jumped out at me, and I like the way you presented it. Number one, be willing to talk about the things that you know. No, you don't have to beat anybody over the head, but you can mention that you do know it. And don't be afraid to give testimonials, because people are looking for that. They want to be part of the herd. They want to be where everybody else is. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Sherry. I appreciate you joining us today. Bye-bye. And we're over an hour already, but there are still a bunch of you here, and many of you have been here with me almost this entire hour. So I do want to give you a chance. I notice there's a bunch of men listening, and so far we've only had women jump in the hot seat. So I always love hearing the masculine voices, the you know, what the male perspective on these issues, because so often it is we women who are talking about these things coming from a more heartfelt place. So I would love for any of the men in particular, but anybody who's here to jump in and share their thoughts with what we've been talking about tonight. Sunday, thank you for joining us. We are actually just heading towards a wrap up. I'm kind of just doing a little soft shoe here to kill time to see if anybody else wants to get themselves video ready to jump in and talk about anything we've talked about here today. But if not, I'm going to start heading towards a wrap up. And I will say again that I am just launching a group online mastermind program, which is a monthly engagement to support us in going deeper in these issues of healing your sales wounds and coming to a place of joy.
And the program is called Revealing You. And it's all about getting deeper awareness about your own unique magical brilliance, and then feeling confident and safe to shine your light and attract more of the people who are your perfect audience. Because it's in that place with that combination of things that sales becomes just easy and magical. So that online program is getting started on October 28th. But anybody, and I'm putting the link to it again in the chat thread, and anybody who joins before October 28th actually gets a nice savings boost. The program is $147 a month, but it is only $97 a month if you join before the official launch at the end of October. And of course, you can find out more about me on my blog, which is on intuitivebusinesswoman.com. I also blab here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Central Time, which is Chicago time. And we talk about the blab here is a conversational mashup of spirituality, business, and the intentional creation of your life. So I would love to have you back here on the blab. Follow me on Twitter, come check me out on Facebook. And of course, I would love to have you join that online mastermind group that I'm getting started. And with that, it looks like nobody else wants to jump on to say hello on the video. So I'm going to close this out in just a few minutes. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the chat thread. Please take a few minutes to say hello to each other. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And enjoy the rest of your Friday.